All through the ages and all over the world, mythological heroes have walked similar paths. From King Beowulf to King Arthur, from Buddha to Moses, from Frodo to Harry Potter, all have gone on journeys that were in many ways reminiscent of each other. The similarities were first discovered by Carl Jung, after he had taken the journey himself.
How will I find you? Who is she? Cinderella?
With nothing left to give, the king could only think of one thing to help protect his people. He sent his only daughter, the princess, to the lake to wait for the dragon. When George heard this, he rowed as fast as he could to the lake. Just then, the dragon jumped out from the lake and was going to eat the princess. George attacked the dragon. He fought very bravely, won the fight, and killed the dragon. George and the princess returned to the village, and everyone was very pleased that they would have no more problems with the dragon.
The hero's journey is probably the most common trope in literature. It's quite powerful because it's a reflection of human psychology and human experience. The connection between literature and psychology is explored by Carl Jung in his work on archetypes. If you are interested, look into work by him and Jordan Peterson on the subject. Back to topic. Most stories have at least some elements of the hero's journey. Because of its popularity and almost universal appeal, it makes it useful in understanding other parts of human experience. I want to explore gender differences by analyzing the difference between the male and the female hero's journey. To define what is a male and what is a female story, I will look at who primarily watches the story and not who is the protagonist. The audience is the one that connects to the story, not the fictional characters. So you could have a male hero's journey with a female character, and vice versa, although they tend to match the gender of the majority of their audience. As a note, this is not a universal declaration, but simply noticing trends. This won't apply to every man or every woman. Also, this is not a declaration of how things should be. It is an analysis of why they are. Let's look at the most quintessential male and female stories. I'm going to use the story of the Knight and the Dragon for men and Cinderella for women. In the first, the knight goes on a quest, slays a dragon, rescues a princess. In Cinderella, a girl goes on a quest to go to the ball and ends up wooing a prince. They get married, and both stories end happily ever after. They are quite similar in many ways. Both settings are in an old-time fantasy. Both end with a hero living in a castle married to royalty. Both face challenges and are given supernatural help. What is the main conceptual difference between these two heroes' journeys? The main difference is the goals of each hero. The knight wants to slay the dragon, and Cinderella wants to go to the ball. The knight's quest is a clearly defined goal. His motivations are clear and defined as well. Protect the realm from the dragon, save the princess, win her affection, and most likely win fame and fortune for the deed. Cinderella's task is clearly defined, but her motivations are not. Why is the ball so important? It seems there is no physical reward for going, so why? Well, let's think about what a ball is. It's a social gathering. And what is her reward? It is the prince. Her story motivation is all about social relationships. Her challenge is her relationship with her stepmother and stepsisters. Her goal is to go to a social gathering, and her reward is her relationship with the prince. The knight's story is a story of tasks, while Cinderella's is a story about relationships. That is why these stories resonate with their respective gender. It's not as simple as men desire violence and women desire pretty dresses. It's more of the fact that those are a symptom and not a cause. So why do men like tasks and women like social relationships? Well, think about where sexual differences come from. Sexual dimorphism results from evolutionary selection. Men and women differ with their sexual roles in reproduction. What would make men and women more successful evolutionarily and allow them to pass on their DNA? Women need to successfully carry a pregnancy to term. The problem is that a pregnant woman is extremely vulnerable. Imagine a cave woman trying to hunt a deer or fight off a saber-toothed tiger 9 months pregnant. She needs other people to help and support her in that state. That would lead more social women to be more evolutionarily successful. Now, men, on the other hand, need to impregnate a woman to pass on their DNA. This means they need to win over a woman's affection so that she will allow him to pass on his genes. Now, women need to help during pregnancy to ensure the survival of themselves and their child, and men need a willing woman to get busy with. It seems an obvious trade. This means that men more focused on completing tasks such as providing resources and defending from threats would be more evolutionarily successful, and thus men's interest in the knight's story, while women are more focused on developing relationships romantically or otherwise, thus the woman's interest in Cinderella. If you look at girls and guys movies, you see this dynamic a lot. Action movies usually have clear goals: defeat the bad guy, take the hill, save the world. Romantic comedies many times will have less clear objectives, often focusing more on character relationships. Like most evolutionary drivers, this is just a trend and not an absolute. In the same way that just because men tend to be taller than women does not mean that every man is taller than every woman, people's interests are not perfectly aligned. Also, men and women need both social skills and task skills to be successful. It's just because of their different sex roles, this leads them to different priorities. If you look at stories that have a broad appeal to both genders, it will often focus both on a clear task and it will explore the relationships between characters.